Aliens have been living in huge buildings on Moon for long, and NASA knew it. On October 30, 2007, Ken Johnston, who was in charge of the Apollo mission imagery, and Richard Hoagland, a former NASA consultant and American author, held a public press conference in Washington. According to them, NASA had been hiding the truth for more than 40 years that the Apollo mission astronauts discovered traces of ancient civilization on the Moon. Hoagland said that when he first saw the old photos from the Apollo mission that were kept by Johnston in 1995, they had artificial structures, but were edited in the photos presented by NASA. He personally saw that at the end of the 60s, NASA employees were ordered to paint the moonlit sky on negatives not to mislead the astronauts, because the sky on the Moon is black. According to Johnston, in a series of shots against the black sky, white stripes showed intricate configurations, which were the ruins of huge buildings that once reached a height of several kilometers. Of course, if such pictures were shown in the public, it could have created chaos in the media. Richard Hoagland showed reporters a snapshot of a huge building, a glass tower. Perhaps, this was one of the tallest structures found on the Moon. On March 21, 1996, a similar briefing was held at the Washington National Press Club, where NASA scientists and engineers participating in the Moon and Mars programs reported the results of processing the information received. For the first time, the existence on the Moon of artificial structures and objects of anthropogenic nature was announced. It is worth noting that NASA seems to have deliberately leaked information about extraterrestrial intelligence on the Moon. Otherwise, it is difficult to explain the fact that George Leonard, who published his book, Somebody Else is on the Moon, in 1970, wrote it on the basis of numerous photographs that he had access to in NASA. It is curious that the entire circulation of his book almost instantly disappeared from store shelves. It is believed that they could have bought it in bulk so that the book would not have been widely distributed. Leonard wrote in his book that they were assured of the complete lifelessness of the Moon, but the data speak differently. He added that before the space age, astronomers had built big telescopes to check the strange activities on the Moon that were noticed by both professionals and amateurs. According to Johnston, the Americans, having been on the Moon, discovered the so-called secret of gravity control. Whether this technology was applied in practice in terrestrial conditions is unknown. The lunar race resumed, and now, there are not 2 participants, as during the Cold War, but at least 5. In addition to the United States, they are Russia, China, India, and Japan. The Americans have thawed their lunar program recently. One of the main proponents of this idea was George W. Bush. The states are going to build a base on the Moon. Why it is needed has not yet been told. Most of the other astronomers are skeptical about the statements of Johnston and Hoagland. After all, these are the people who, in all seriousness, declared their mission to reveal all the secrets of NASA, to reveal all the information that, according to them, the agency is hiding. They even wrote a book and blog on the internet. As for NASA representatives themselves, they usually do not comment on the statements of rogue scientists. In the 2007 press release, Kay Ferrari, JPL's director of the SSA program, asked Johnston to resign. It was Johnston, being quoted as criticizing NASA in Hoagland's new book, Dark Mission, that prompted her to ask for Johnston's resignation from the SSA program. When Dr. Johnston refused, citing First Amendment protections of free speech afforded all NASA employees, even those at JPL, Ferrari apparently decided to remove him arbitrarily from the SSA program, as stated in the press release. After his abrupt departure, he indicated that he was tired of the U.S. government sitting on evidence for more than 4 decades, evidence that ancient alien cities exist on the Moon. The low-quality pictures included in the book depict ruins of buildings, huge dome-like objects made of glass, stone towers, and castles hanging in the air. I have nothing to lose. I have quarreled with NASA and I got fired, Ken Johnston said.